Today is August 3rd, 2023. Michael Cook speaking. Here I am on the Shenandoah campus. You know, I made a video the other day walking around the high school, and now I see a whole bunch of geese. I was just passing through, and look at all these geese. They're like an army of geese, right? All the way around. There's a whole lot of them over here too. You know, they like to hang out. I'm not really sure why they like Clifton Park so much, but yeah, they like to hang out. They like to poop and eat grass, and you know, reproduce, eat more grass or whatever bugs they can find. You know, and they just waddle. They waddle around like I don't know, some dude that has to wear Depends all the time, waddling around. That's offensive, Michael Cook. You shouldn't talk about old guys that have to wear Depends, because that's offensive. You know, that's how the geese walk around. They walk around, they waddle around as if they had, like, I don't know, some dude like pooped his pants or something, and he's trying to like not, you know, get it like smeared all over his rear end. You know, that is rather graphic of you to say in a video about the geese, Michael Cook. I know, but you know, sometimes what I do is I like to take a good long look at nature, right? And the empty softball fields and the sign Shenandoah softball. And there's some people over there, but you know, the geese, the reason why I'm making the recording, and that's Scano Elementary in the distance, and that is High School West, and I'm walking this way. You know, it's basically a shortcut going through the school grounds to get to like the Clifton Commons area. And I don't know, a number of years have gone by since like I made a number of videos back in May of 2020. You know, I really should talk about like what's in those videos. And I know that like if I start talking about it, some people are gonna think some of the things that I say are rather outlandish, and if they were true, then somebody would have done something about it by now. Well, the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of stupid people on planet Earth, and sometimes what they like to do is say that somebody's claims are incredulous, and you know, in this process, like, the documentation is told to piss off, and then you know, like, since I'm making a video that shows the geese and stuff, and like I've sort of done a lot of practicing for my rhetoric over the last few years, I come across very differently than I did when I made those videos in May of 2020. You know, the reason why I was like making a number of videos and taking pictures and making audio recordings is in May of 2020, because someone was attacking my equipment with cyber attacks. You know, and those cyber attacks, I caught on video. Some of them, not all of them. And what would prompt somebody to like attack somebody with a cyber attack? Well, I don't know, but it happened at Computer Answers after the interview that I had with Andrew Banis in March of 2018. Like at some point in January of 2019, on January 15th, someone used a derivative of WannaCry. So back in 2020 and 2021, there was a rise in the cases of ransomware attacks. And You know, these ransomware attacks are typically caused by people over in Russia. And where is the owner of Computer Answers from? And his father, Pavel Zachenko Jr. and Sr. Oh, they're from Russia. So you would have to be pretty stupid to not understand why I keep talking about the cyber attack at the place that I used to manage for 3 years. And I'm pretty sure that someone was committing espionage to me, right? And I had a number of miscommunications with people. I continue to, because I don't know, the only time people really care about mysterious things is after it happens to them. So back in January 15, 2019, CBE 2019-8936 attacked the OpenSense gateway, which I configured in a video that I recorded earlier in December of 2018. Right, and then I gave Pavel Zachenko remote access to the router, the gateway, and then oh no, after I gave him remote access to the router and the gateway, oh no, somebody was watching what I was doing, and then they used a ransomware attack on the Windows 10 Tech Machine and the Windows 2012 server, right? And the only person that would really have any reason to do that is the owner of Computer Answers. But, maybe other people were involved, but you cannot expect, I don't know, I have told the police numerous times, but, they don't care. The reason they don't care is because no money was taken in that whole situation. And, after it happened, I went out to Bennington, Vermont to run the store that I had left in the hands of David Hyatt. And when I was out there, someone used another attack with CBE 2019-8936 on March 8th, 2019. So between January 15th, 2019 and March 8th, 2019, somebody was going around using this denial of service attack, distributed denial of service attack, to get access to certain systems by using a crafted malicious packet from a trusted source that used Mode 6 authorization or whatever. I can't remember exactly what the verbiage or terminology is, but it's basically like this, right? It's not unlike a cop showing up to. It was basically attacking the time protocol. So it's like a cop showing up. And someone called 911, like I did on June 13th, 2020. And then after the cop shows up, someone else that didn't call the cops runs up to the police officer and then commandeers the 911 call. And it's basically a metaphor for CVE 2019-8936, right? A crafted malicious packet. And the idea of malice will change from perspective to perspective, but simply put, my tenure at Computer Answers allowed for me to realize that there are some heinous, evil pricks in the world that cause me to want to use foul language to refer to them. But the thing is a lot of people trust them, and what are some people not doing? They're not making videos of high schools and I don't know how far that is. I would say it's probably at least about a half mile or so. And then the clearing of the trees straight ahead, that's Moe Road, or the entrance to Moe Road, right? So I hear thunder clapping in the distance, and that's not good, because that means that I need to get somewhere where there's shelter, or I'm going to be drenched in a bunch of water and stuff. And so I don't have my sunglasses on, but this is my natural appearance. I don't have the the bands in my beard or my hair or whatever. And I'm sure some people will be like, why do you have such a long ass beard, dude? You need to trim that thing. Well, it's my natural beard, and I like having it because, when people see me, they get a sense of I'm not like everybody else, and I'm not like everybody else, so I'm probably gonna have a different opinion than a bunch of other people. A lot of people they do what everybody else does, and they don't they think that what everybody else does is cool, or like if somebody does something that's cool or whatever, then that's the cool thing to do, and that's gonna be the wanted, most desired thing to do. You gotta be cool. Be like the Fonzie, be like, hey, or whatever, but sometimes like the cool thing is stupid, and it's not always the case. But like when I was going to this school, Scannell Elementary, right about the time that my father was killed, murdered by Zontel Gordon when I was 10 years old, Pogs, everybody was into Pogs and like a bunch of other stuff, right? Everybody collected Pogs, and then they used the slammers, and they threw down the slammers to get the Pogs to like flip over or whatever, and then eventually like a whole bunch of other things became cool, and then they went. Oftentimes what happens is something cool comes around, and then it stays cool for a little bit, but then eventually it's not that cool anymore. Well, like before Counter-Strike became really popular, I was into Counter-Strike. Before Quake 3 Arena became popular, well, I think it sort of took off as being popular, I was playing Quake and Quake 2. Made a lot of levels for Quake and Quake 2. It's not like I just started making levels for Quake 3 Arena, and that's what I started with. No, I made a lot of maps for Counter-Strike and for Quake 2, Shadow Warrior, and Doom, and Duke Nukem 3D, and Warcraft 2, and StarCraft. I made a lot of maps for a lot of games because it's pretty creative. But anyway, this is the school that I went to when I was a young child boy, 5,000, 10 years old. This is where I went. And the kid that I played bass with, he went to Saga over there. His name's Tyler Krofsky. I haven't talked to him in years, but him and I, we started playing bass at the same exact time. We had a teacher named Mr. Gumper, and Mr. Gumper was cool. He played Iron Man. I'm probably recapping some of the things that I said, in the video that I recorded on May 23rd, 2020, when I walked around the campus and stuff, right? And there was somebody in the woods in the Arenda exercise trail, right? And part of the reason why I was walking around making so many recordings and stuff is because those cyber attacks, I thought that there was something else going on. I think that somebody with nefarious intent, who has a lot of money and friends and they're liked a lot, they randomly go around watching what other people do, and they try to sabotage their work. They might be from another country, but they might be here in the domestic United States, and they might have family and friends that work for the FBI, and they have access to a program called PRISM, which is something that Edward Snowden talked about, back in the Snowden leak. Edward Snowden leak. Yeah, I can guarantee you that not a lot of kids or people that went to Shenandoah Central School District really know a whole lot about Edward Snowden or Julian Assange. Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are not the same person, but they sort of share a lot of similarities and stuff. And I talk about them a lot because, what they were talking about was how, some people in our government, they're lying sacks of shit, and they lie a lot, and they lie so well that when they lie, people believe them. Oh wow, check it out, I can actually see down the hallway. Well, I get in trouble for zooming into the hallway of doom. It's the hallway of doom right there. Yeah, Mrs. Lattimore's class was to the left here. I think this is Mrs. Paffenbach's class. Or no, I don't know. But like the cafeteria was all the way to the end there, right? And there's the custodian. The custodian that used to work here was like my neighbor. He lived at 204D, I think. I don't remember what his name was. But he lived there for a really long time, right next to like Deanie and Anthony LaFranco and Lynn Damiano. You know, this is like going back like almost 30 years, basically. But, you know, I'm not causing any trouble. Straight ahead is the hallway that connects Scanlon to Sago, and the music's room was back here. Mrs. Lambie. Mrs. Lambie is the reason why I started like playing string bass, and Mr. Gumper. He's playing Iron Man when during like our first lesson, me and Tyler's first lesson. We used to like have to when we practice, we would have to go to the stage here, and there's the stage is right next to the cafeteria. It's literally like the same room, and I think this was like Mrs. Weissman's class here, my third grade teacher, and I had Mrs. Quigley in second grade, who's on the other side of the building, and Mrs. Summers was my first grade teacher, and Mrs. Lattimore was my fourth grade teacher, and Mrs. Canal was my fifth grade teacher. Simply put, I think the reason why I remember all of these teachers is because I was much younger and had more time with those teachers. I think you spend a lot more time with elementary school teachers than you do with like middle or high school teachers. But that's not to say you don't spend plenty of time with the middle school teachers. The high school teachers, you usually get like one class with them, and then that's it. And then you got to rotate. This is the entrance to the Clifton Commons. And why am I going to the Clifton Commons? I don't know. It's, they typically have the 4th of July fireworks here. So like nearly 1 month ago, a whole bunch of people were here watching the fireworks and stuff. Fireworks are pretty cool, but you might get to an age where you've seen plenty of fireworks, and it's just, what the hell's going to happen before the show, and then during the show, and then after the show, and unless you're going to hang out with a bunch of friends or whatever at the fireworks, then you can avoid having to go to the fireworks and watch them from afar, from a location where you're not going to be crowded and stuck within like an hour of traffic trying to leave. Yeah, I don't know. And now I'm in the Clifton Commons, right? So in this video, it's like 20 minutes long now. I just went from point A to point B, and now I'm just going to continue going through the Commons and stuff. A lot of people play Little League here, as you can tell, the baseball fields. Miss Shen softball. And then, whoa, Ian Anderson Lane. This, I don't know if that would show up on like Google Maps or whatever. But then there's Ben Anderson Court. And then, there's no place like home. Real estate services. And what if I just went around like reading advertisements and stuff, trying to make people laugh? What could I like make a name for myself doing that? Or I don't know. Anyway, I used to bring my kids here a fair amount. Brought them here for the 4th of July a few times. also brought my kids to the Empire State Plaza, where the Corning Tower is. The Corning Tower is like the tallest building in upstate New York, basically. And, you know, I don't know if it's definitely not the tallest building in the state, that's for sure. But I think in every part that's not Manhattan or like the 7 boroughs in New York City, I think it is the tallest building in the state. I may be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. I don't think there's a tall building out in Buffalo or Rochester or Syracuse. They might have tall buildings, but they're not going to be anywhere remotely close to as tall as the Corning Tower. That thing is really, really tall. You can see it from miles away. You actually see it in the video that I recorded on my father's birthday a couple weeks ago. What was it? Yeah, about a couple weeks ago. You know, time goes by pretty quickly, right? So that's one reason why I make so many of these videos and recordings and stuff. You know, time goes by really quickly, you know, and you know, it was just like last year. The whole last year just kind of went by like a blur. Anyway, I used to bring my kids here a lot to the playground of doom. It looks like they're rebuilding it or something, which that's sort of sad because it would have been nice to be able to document it beforehand. But what are they rebuilding it to do? Are they like rebuilding it to make it less complicated or whatever? I think that would take away from a lot of the nostalgia of the park here. You know, it looks like they're going to town with this friggin' playground rebuilding. Yeah. So I think my kids might be sad to see that the place I used to bring them has been decimated to no end in sight. And now they're rebuilding the entire place. Yeah, I didn't even realize that they were rebuilding this, but, you know. How's it going? Yeah, so, see cliftonpark.org for details. Or else you're of course, sometimes like what happens is I'll hit the button for Bixby or whatever, and then, oh no, the video that I was recording is over. Now I'm gonna have to tape them together. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Anyway, right there is a cell tower, and one of the things that like I wanted to talk about was how like some of these cell towers, they're not like good for your health. You know, some people, some engineers will say, nope, we made them real safe, dude. You're never going to get cancer from wireless signals or nothing, or cell signals. Yeah, well, tell that to a lot of people that have died from like brain cancer from like cordless microwave phones. Yeah, microwaves are not good for the human body. A lot of people are like forced to endure microwave radiation on a regular basis, and I think that putting that tower there is pretty stupid because a lot of people are going to be playing here, right? A lot of young kids, and if the radiation from the cell tower does happen to cause copious amounts of like radiation to little kids, and what happens is that they're going to develop cancers like leukemia or lymphoma or, you know, whatever else. And then, like, some people are pretty evil and they're not going to, like, draw attention to that, right? And they'll even minimize, like, my concerns and stuff. And, yeah, it's sort of like minimizing the concerns that some people had back in, you know, the late 60s or whatever with, the Surgeon's General warning. The Surgeon's General was like, this product will cause cancer. It's not even really like it may cause cancer, it will cause cancer. It's just like, how much exposure does someone need before they finally contract the disease of doom and they fall victim to you know, cancerous growths. and they die. You know, I am trying to add some comedic feel to something that's rather dire, but you know, drawing attention to something bad before something even worse happens. Right? There's a whole chapter of time that occurs in between time A and then time B, and then what winds up happening is that like the people with the money, they don't like when someone says or does something that like would curb or limit their amount of wealth, right? And so they will actually spend some money to silence or censor some people that go around saying that you should be concerned about potentially getting like cancer from the Wi-Fi tower, the cell tower there. You should be concerned about it because, like, yeah, I mean, you know, put that somewhere else. You know, they're not gonna put it anywhere else now that it's built. But, you know, try to have a conversation with the idiot that decided to put a fucking cell tower right in the center of Clifton Commons. Some people are gonna say that I'm being overbearing by saying that, right? But, you know, the only way that anyone's ever gonna find out that I'm correct is after, like, people start to develop, like, diseases or cancers or whatever, and then, you know, then by then it's too late. It's too late to do anything about it, right? So, and then anytime someone tries to go around being an early adopter, so to speak, and like warn other people about like dangers and atrocities that are down the road, you know, in the road ahead, what winds up happening is like some people will label them as delusional or something, you know, and that's not hard to believe. People do that, you know, and you know, I'm not blaming like anyone in particular, except like, hey, who thought it would be a good idea to put a cell tower in the middle of Clifton Commons? Well, whoever thought to do that, definitely an idiot. And that is going to do it for this video. And well,